inflation is here. Everyone sees that. Anyone who goes to the grocery store or anywhere else really sees that the prices, the cost of things have risen. Well, that's the norm. That's the norm of thought. Really, what it is the purchasing power of the dollar, purchasing power of the digits you have in your accounts. The purchasing power is lowering. It's going low. So that in return makes everything look like prices are rising. Which in actuality, that's not the case. I mean, the definition of inflation nowadays, they state it's a persistent increase in the level of consumer prices or a persistent decline in the purchasing power of money. That's what the definition is nowadays. And I got some older dictionaries, and I think this was from like 81. And this says that an expansion of the volume of currency and bank credit out of proportion to the available goods and services, and resulting in a considerable and prolonged rise in prices and costs. So that states because the money supply or the currency supply or whatever it is, the supply that's being used for commerce is inflating because it's growing, the amount out there is getting larger, hence inflation, then how much of this everything costs it takes to purchase a good or service, that becomes more because there's so much more out there of this currency, these dollars, that is being dealt with. So the only reason prices rise, if you want to look at it like that, is because the money supply, the currency supply is inflated. There's more out there. So in return, everything costs more. In return, what you hold in your bank account, what you hold in your 401k IRA, the purchasing power, has decreased or is decreasing. Soon will go to zero, in my opinion, because every fiat currency always, forever, has gone to zero over time. Just what happens. So who benefits and who loses? I mean, that's the thing to ask. I know in 2020, they said we need, because inflation we haven't hit our target of 2% year over year, now we need to run hot, which means so we want to do an average 2% inflation. So there might be some years where it's quite a bit higher, which will make up for the years in the past that it has been below 2%. Okay, well, everyone's been indoctrinated throughout, government schooling and that kind of stuff, and most colleges, to say, hey, if inflation is normal, we need inflation because the amount of people here the numbers are increasing, so we need more currency out there. We need to inflate the currency that's out there, the dollars that are out there, to compensate. And that's the biggest lie that you could really have out there, because in the end, that's how people get by with commerce. That's how they get their food, their shelter, everything they need to live is by using the currency or the dollars. So 2% inflation, if that's the goal, like they've told us, in my opinion, it's a lot more. But if it's 2%, who loses? Who wins? Well, who wins are the people at the top, the people that are doing this, the people that get the currency that's been created. They get that currency first because they get it where the purchasing power is still at its obsolete best. It's the highest. It has the most purchasing power that it ever will from that point on as the inflation hits, as the currency inflates. So who loses? Well, who loses is I'll say single parent. The poor are the biggest losers, really. The poor doesn't necessarily mean a single parent. Mother or father, whatever. It could be someone on welfare. It could be someone on Social Security. It could be someone retired. It could be a couple that's retired. It could be whatever. But someone who has the funds coming in, so we'll just example, someone in Social Security, they're retired. And they're living on whatever they're getting from the government. I don't know what they're getting. Well, let's say $1,500 a month. That's what they're getting. I think that's sort of high. For the standard, I think the norm, the average is 1,100, 1,200. But so let's use that. If they're getting $1,200 a month, and they're supposed to live off that, well, their home's paid off, and they can't do anything really to combat the property taxes that always increase, which that's a whole other story. I think that they shouldn't exist, but that's just my opinion. The property taxes that continually increase, well, with Social Security or something like that, they say, well, there's cost of living increases you'll get. Well, you may get a 2% increase every year, which I've heard that's not the case, and I've seen that not to be the case by people close to me. But let's say you get 2% increase a year in how much you're getting from your Social Security. Well, if they're running inflation hot, so let's say this year, 2021, it's 5%. And I feel it's higher than that right now, so it's 5%. And they're like, that's okay, because years past it was below 1%. So we're making up for it because we need a 2% average. So 5% increase in how much things cost you, 5% decrease in how much purchasing power you have for the funds you're getting from your Social Security checks monthly, and they only give you a 2% increase this year. How does that work? So now there's a 3% gap that it's not being made up for. You're just losing over time. So this goes on year after year after year. Who's making out? Well, the people at the top, like I said. Who's losing? You, if you're on Social Security, or you, if you're poor, or you're a single parent, or you're on a fixed income, whatever the case is, you're losing. Even if you're a household with 4 children and you have a mother and father, and you guys are sort of a fixed income for the most part, maybe you get a 2% wage increase, a cost of living increase. One of you did, the other one didn't, but inflation continually goes up at least 2% because they want a 2% average. So maybe next year it's going to be 8%, which my feeling it's going to be more, but it's 8%. Well, how do you make do with that? How does that benefit you? So how does inflation work? How is it a benefit at all for you? It's not a benefit for you. It's not a benefit for the middle class. It's not a benefit for most people out there. Just the people at the top and the Federal Reserve and all the politicians and all their friends and all the people they deemed fit to benefit. Those are the ones. So 2% inflation, any inflation, period, no matter how much it is, any inflation does nothing but hurt the poor more already and make others out there become part of the poor. It takes some low middle income people, brings them to the poor. It brings some people that are higher, they used to be middle income, they used to be the middle class, the high middle class, let's say, it brings them down to a middle class tier, a flat middle class tier. And then over time, it'll bring them down to a low middle class, and then it'll drop them to the poor also. And that's the whole reason for inflation, in my opinion. There's no other reason for it at all. No one benefits, period. Why am I saying this? Because with this inflation here that we have right now, I know people are feeling it with their gas. Every time you go to the grocery store, if you buy sugar, flour, anything you buy some lumber, anything else, prices, if you want to look at that, are rising. Well, no, the value of your dollar, your currency, is going down. Your purchasing power is being erased. That's what's happening. But what are you going to do about it? What can you do about it? I can only tell you what we've done about it and we continue to do about it and what we tell those around us that we feel is beneficial. So, as always, assets. Assets will preserve any wealth that you have. Whether you look at it as wealth, I'm not rich, I don't have extra money, so I'm not preserving wealth, I'm just trying to survive and get by. Well, assets will help you survive and get by. Assets will help you not, be one to be stolen from by inflation, because inflation is a hidden tax. All taxes are theft, period. So how do you get out of that cycle? Buy assets. Get into assets. Assets will preserve wealth, preserve the value that they're at, and the purchasing power that they're at. And the purchasing power of them will continue to grow as everything else comes down, as your purchasing power of your dollars or your whatever you have out there, your currency goes down. The purchasing power of your assets will hold, or if you want to look at it, increase versus your fiat dollars, whichever one you look at it. But it will preserve your wealth. It will preserve your purchasing power. It will preserve stuff. It will keep you out of the loop of being stolen from. So you got gold and silver, ammunition as always. That's firearms, seeds. You always need seeds if you're going to have to garden sometime, or whether you want to or not, you might be in that circumstance. It's only beneficial, and seeds maybe turn it into a currency. I've heard that many times too, because all the other seeds out there nowadays are all infiltrated with all this GMO stuff. And if you have any seeds that is still out there now that are organic, that came from what you know of as vegetation, some sort of plants that have not been harmed by GMO stuff, harmed, I say that, and you have them, hold on to them, because those may turn out to be a great form of trade or currency, or to benefit in the garden. There are tools. Tools are always needed, whether it's automotive tools, household tools, tools for woodworking, tools, just tools, period. Always hold value, because you'll need them at times. Other people may need them. People will barter for them, that kind of stuff. Land is also another big thing, I feel. And I know land is, if there's people out there like, I don't have a lot of money, I'm living paycheck to paycheck, or I don't have much of my savings, or I don't have a savings. Land is not in my realm. It's just not. Well, then at least start somewhere small to preserve your purchasing power. Silver is cheap right now. In my opinion, it's on sale. A couple years ago, it was on clearance, but it's still on sale. Same with gold. Or, like I said, ammunition, firearms, stuff, tools, stuff that's going to hold and preserve purchasing power is what you want to hold on to. Foods, that kind of stuff, but foods have a shelf life, so that's why I said seeds. You can always find your foods that are vacuum packed or freeze dried or whatever that supposed to last for 20-25 years. That's an option also if you're on that level. But my opinion on the land thing, jumping around here, if you can, or if you have a child who's getting to that age, like I've instilled in mine, I'm like, there's only so much land. There's only going to be so much land. In my opinion, with BlackRock and these other entities that are out there, that are buying up all this land. They're buying up land, and they're buying up properties, and they're paying more than the asking price. Why would they do that? Why would you do that? Especially this time when the market's so high. Why would they be doing that? So you're like, well, it's great because I know someone who sold their house and they made a great amount on it, that kind of stuff. Yeah, but if they go and now they have to buy another house, prices are high and higher now just because of the circumstances. So they're going to have to, they want to change. They got to do what they got to do. But why would they be buying up all these properties that they're paying over value, paying over asking price, along with all this farmland? I mean, Bill Gates is the largest farmland owner ever. Single farm owner. Why would they be doing that? Sorry about that. I had to step away. But anyways, I was talking about Bill Gates. So that's why Bill Gates is the largest farmland owner there is now. And the reason for that, in my opinion, and the reason for the same thing for BlackRock and the other entities that are the largest property owners, trying to be the largest property owners, they're not yet, but Bill Gates is the largest farmland owner. It's because I believe that they're trying to make a crunch on land and property, because like they said, by 2030 you'll own nothing and you'll be happy. So you'll be renting, and the renting that they foresee is it's all going to be digital, and it's all going to be taken from you, and stuff's going to be provided for you, like socialism, communism type deals is the end game, communism, in my opinion. But anyways, so on that, along with those other things on the land thing that I was talking about, that's why I think it's essential, just my opinion, that if anyone has the ability and opportunity to buy land, I would say you got to do it. This is just my opinion, but there's not going to be any more land. Land is land. And my fear is that there's going to come a time, and it's going to be before 2050, probably 2040, 2035. It's just my guess. It's just me. That there'll be a time where it's going to be almost impossible to own land if you don't already have it or you haven't had it. If you do, they might put restrictions on it and that kind of stuff, like government always does, property taxes, whatever. But you have it. If you don't and you want to get it by that time, 2035-ish, maybe 2030, you won't have the opportunity because it's going to be over regulated. There's going to be so much restrictions on it, if even they allow it. By they, it's, I talk about they, the powers that be that they think should be in power. But anyways, the ones that control the weapons and the armies and the navies and the armed forces for now. But anyways, so if you don't have it, it might be impossible to get it. So if you're sitting on a 401k, say an IRA, that you have, I don't have this, but if you have $1 million in it or close to it, what is that going to do come this crash? This crash is right around the corner. I mean, it's right on the edge of the corner. You're going to lose half of it, at least, at the very least. Or would you rather take what you can? You'll get a fee, you'll get a penalty, whatever. Take out what you can. Purchase some land, because you have the opportunity to get land now while it's available. That's just my opinion. I'm not telling anyone what to do. But this is something I've been trying to instill in my children too, that you're young, I know, and I know you want to have fun and games, and I know you want to live this extravagant life and do what all the other kids are doing, do what's the thing to be doing, that kind of stuff. But if you think about it, do you want to own something that you may never have a chance to own again? Now's your time. Whether it's a plot that's half an acre or an acre, or maybe it's 5 to 10 acres. Maybe your family, or you've got a bunch of people in your family, the 8 of you, decide, well, we found this property here, it's 40 acres, we're going to go in at it now, and because it's available, and then from there, we're going to figure it out. But at least we got it. Maybe it's 100 acres, maybe it's 200 acres, whatever. But I'm not telling, like I said, people what to do, I'm just saying. I think there's going to be a time where it's going to be almost impossible to get it if you don't already have it, as far as land goes. They're doing this with property too. But as of now, there's a bunch of raw land out there still available. Wooded. I know farmland's really high, especially in certain areas, because Bill Gates is buying it up no matter what the cost, which causes the prices to raise, the demand for it. But other land that's just as grand, just as great, but has trees on it, it's wooded, people don't want as much because there's not that drive for it. But it's just as valuable, in my opinion. If you want it flat, get some excavators there to take the trees down, pull the trees down, do a little work on it. But anyways, this is all I had to say. I don't know what else to say. I'm fearful of what's going to happen to people who are not preparing or are not ready to whatever they can do, whatever their ability is. Just, it's all about yourself, your family, your children, your friends, your community. Help others. Let other people know your skills, and let other people know your pains and what you're missing, and try to find out for other people too and help them. We're in this together as communities. Not like the government or the the people on TV say we're in this together. It's not. That's just a line of crap. But we are. This is humanity. But anyways, I didn't mean to drag this out very long. Thank you for watching. As always, protect yourself, protect your family, protect your wealth.